Yo, sorry,
Hey,
mate.
what's up, man? No worries. No problem. No problem. No
How you guys
problem.
doing?
Great. Excellent. Great. How are you doing today, sir?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good.
Good, 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 good. How can we help?
Um,
Tell me
um,
what you got going on in the solar world, or in your other world, or in all your worlds.
have you ever, is anyone in the States successfully franchised social media agencies?
Well, it's really funny you asked that. One of Nick's favorite businesses called Biz. Nick wrote a very famous article about that company. And no, the only people that we know started a franchise, scammed a bunch of people out of money, left town. Nah, yeah, I don't know anybody's had a good experience doing that.
Really? Have people
Yeah.
tried? Do people have tried to do it?
Yeah, I mean, there was Nick and I, the way that Nick and I met was actually through a network marketing company, something called Nouveau Riche. It was actually started originally in Australia. Um, and in Hang on one second. And essentially, what happened is when that business collapsed, they ended up one of the owners ended up creating a business called Busy Biz. And what they basically did is they sold franchises to people for 20, 30, $40,000. Like those were the different price points. And what it was is, hey, look, we're going to show you how to get local clients. You're going to go out and get those local clients. When you get the local clients, we're going to help fulfill some of the services, just kind of like the McDonald's bread and butter. Here's what you're going to do on your own. Here's what we'll do for you. So it was kind of a
Yeah.
50-50 mix of, hey, you're going to sell the services. You're going to provide some of the services, but some of these advanced services you can outsource to us and we'll take care of it. And what ends up happening a lot of the times, this is just my personal biased opinion, is what happens a lot of times is people start to collect money. Great. That's the easy part. Then we got to fulfill on it. And with so many different hands in the pot, man, there's a lot of variables on performance. Not
Yeah.
like McDonald's, but there is no variables on performance. So
Yeah. I
I
could
don't know
imagine
anybody.
it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I could imagine there'd be a lot of like blame, like people blaming each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't know any. I don't know any kind of franchise that has had us work well on that at all.
Okay, interesting. It's just got a guy who has a solar franchise. Has a solar franchise
Yeah.
company, and he's pitched me of starting the social media agency arm of the company. I'm like, oh, that sounds so weird. I've never heard of anyone do this.
Is so like for example, is you would start the social media arm of the company that they're franchising, or a social media arm of franchising.
Social media franchising. So like I'd be like a 50% divisional owner, and then we would sell little social media agencies for like $6,000 and collect 15% of the royalties and blah blah blah. You know.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of as an agency owner, like what would I buy if I'm starting out, right? Am I buying a binder? Because I'm not buying a book of business. I have to go out and get my own
Yeah.
client.
So they would do so like franchising has so they would buy like all the marketing materials and like they would do a training induction thing, and then they would go to they would they'd have to put in money and for marketing, and then the franchisor whatever would get them leads. So it sounds weird in the fact that like the they're kind of paying. I can see why it works in solar, because in solar their main problem is getting leads and
Mm-hmm.
knowing how to run a business. They're like, oh, if that's all taken from me, I just need to follow the steps. I have the CRM, I have everything set up. Then like happy days. But with marketing agencies, I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's a very attractive idea. Like I would make it also because they take like their rules is like, for example, you buy their little franchise, you can't have your own Facebook page. You can't do your own marketing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all company
Mm-hmm.
branded, it's all aggregated. I'm like, ooh, mate, I couldn't do it. but I don't like being told what to do as well. So,
Agree. Yeah, the military or the franchise model doesn't work very well for me.
Yeah, and you kind of have to go down that route because one person doing bad things is kind of ruins the whole company.
Yeah, we've had people pursue us before who's like, hey, we have 50 different locations. We're like, oh, so there was actually a boat rental company, where you can rent a fractional ownership of a boat, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, great idea. I really like that. And they're like, we have all these people. Great. How many different locations? 40. Wow. Okay. When I think of that, I'm like, okay, number one, can we just work with the corporate office to develop the standards that they roll out to everyone else? And they're like, sounds like a good idea. We want to get all of our owners on the phone. And if you can make them an individual presentation, because each one of them have a little bit different needs. And I'm like, nope, we're done. No, we're completely good. And I don't know, Nick will remember this. We all got on a conference call and they all gave different opinions. And each one of them's like, hey, we want a separate proposal so we can see how this is going to work. And I'm like, no, this is horrible. Because I was talking about this earlier today, is I personally don't want 30 employees. Just not interested in that. Nick and I make more money net when it's just, a couple of us versus the one it was 13 or 14. Now, if we have a solar business, that's different because it's all about quantity, obviously.
Yeah.
But not necessarily in this business type. You can get some really good quality and charge really good margin.
Yeah. It was interesting. Like after our chat last week, I went and met up for like a networking kind of social media group in Perth, and there was a couple of guys. There's one that does like a ton of like content like you guys, and he's bloody everywhere. Like his ads are everywhere, and he works from home and doesn't have any employees. I think he has a VA. And then there's the other guy who about a year ago opened like an office and has like 8 employees and all that kind of stuff. He's sitting there and being like, I don't know whether I should shut it down. He's like, dude, I'm gonna have to do so much money to get my 300 grand a year. He's like, he's been there the whole time, and he's just looking at his face. He just looks tired and stressed. It's like, dude, It was interesting. It was really funny after our conversation, and then speaking to these guys, and they're like, one's in like your boat, and the other one's in your past boat, and the one in your past boat wants to get in your present boat.
Yeah, I mean, it's just at the end of the day it's fun to make money, right? And I'm not saying that Nick and I are rolling around in tons of cash by any means, but like when we really get the ability to have the lifestyle is, man, I don't want a $3 million house with a bunch of fancy car payments and a bunch of salaries that I have to pay for. I just have to hustle more and more single day, which is cool. Like if I have, 50 different ways I'm bringing in leads, I'm making just like an example in solar. I have 50 different ways to bring in leads. I know that I just hire 3 people who can do 3 daily installments. So if I hire 6 people, now we're doing 6 installments. Great. Like that's an easy math business, right?
Yeah.
And it's just not here. And the reason is in my personal opinion, is because each customer we're playing with is a separate deck of cards, right? It's their own different opportunities. Like there's all these different variables. With solar, we're talking about, hey, it's bread and butter, one thing after the other. The problem is with marketing, there's so many variables of what's your color, what do you want to use, what's your product, what's your service. I think the more that I've just kind of thought about our marketing business is I like to have less hands in it and just charge, a thicker margin, just because it's not really easy to scale because there are so many variables.
Yeah. What kind of content do you feel like works best for trying to attract new clients? Because I think my cost acquisition.
Hey, and you're kind of fading in and out on me just a little bit, so I don't know if you're moving around from the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear it clearly now. Yeah, absolutely.
What do you find is the best kind of content that works for attracting new customers? Because I realized I think my cost per acquisition of a customer is like $2,000 to $2,500. And speaking to these guys, like they're like 400, 500, $300 to acquire a customer. I'm like, dude, what am I doing
And when you say
wrong?
acquire a customer, are you talking about a lead, or are you talking about someone who pays you $2,000 or $3,000, or what do you?
Pays
What are you?
me money.
I mean, come on. What's your startup fee, or what's your first fee?
I just charged the monthly thing, the 2.5 or 3 or $2,000 or
I mean,
I don't charge.
$300 to get a $3,000 customer. I don't know. I don't buy that at all. Because if that was true, they should have 10 employees, and everything I just said should be asked backwards, and they should be having 10 to 15 employees if that's the case.
Oh, really? He does. He reckons. Well, he doesn't charge, like he charges two
Right?
to a month. And he reckons that it what was his numbers? Yeah, he reckons it's between $300-$400 a customer for $2,000 a month. And he's got 18 customers.
And what kind of niche is he? What kind of niche is he in?
Generalist. He's not. He's
a generalist.
Has punts at everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think you charge more, but yeah. I mean that. Yeah, I mean that. So I don't buy his numbers. I mean, I'll tell you that much. Like, I don't buy his numbers at all. Not even close. The reason is it may be like $100 a lead sounds good. 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 15 leads closings is great. That's $1,500 to $2,000. That's exactly what your numbers are. Right?
Yeah, mine are really cheap on leads. Like I get between $30 and $37 leads. Just the close rate's really shitty.
So the $30 lead rate's really good. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends what industry you're in, stuff like that. But like, I don't, but again, as a generalist, $300 to close a $2,000 sale. I mean, does that mean like, how many is he getting? Is he closing 1 out of 3 leads? That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think his lead costs are really low. I didn't actually ask that, which I should have, but he runs a ton of content. So I think his lead cost is really low because he reckon he does 60 calls, 60 booked calls a week. Jesus. And I was like, dude, do you ever sleep? Like, how do you do that? Manage 18 accounts and doesn't have any staff. So now that you're actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, it doesn't make sense, does it? How do you do 60 calls and manage 18 accounts with no staff?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because sometimes I'll listen to these stories, and there's a brain scientist I work with, and basically he talks about laws of probability, and people operate in patterns. So if you just listen very carefully, they'll tell you their exact pattern, and then you just apply logic to it. And it's not like you're playing poker. Poker has some logic to it. This is just math and facts, right? Oh, okay. So hang on a second. You said you put 300 in to get 2,000 out. Yeah. Why don't you do that like 10 times a month? I do. Really? How many calls do you have? 60 a week? He's trying to think of the math of that, right? Like, I don't even know how that's possible to even do that.
I think a lot of them end up. He said a lot of them, they end up not going through, through a network marketing company or something like that. They're not.
So he's getting people to sign up for his appointment that are part of a network marketing company.
Yeah. Everything. He just does everything. He just throws everything at it.
Here's what I hear you saying. Then he's not pre-qualifying any of the people, so he's getting a bunch of shit leads.
Yeah. Well, he says he makes. He has this little course with a little video course that he sells the network marketing people for $200 or whatever. He has little kind of some little coursey things that he does for people that he can't take on as clients.
Yeah, network marketing people are horrible clients to take on for paid clients because there's very few people that can run paid traffic for network marketing. Nick and I know lots about that business. So that's just what I hear you saying from that side. And again, I would know from looking at his book of business. giving away free stuff to network marketers to then sell them some other stuff, it's a horrible business model.
Yeah.
And the reason is because network marketers are trained to buy additional training, typically through their parent company, like Amway, whatever their company is, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is a leader in that organization, let's say a leader in Amway, they can come up with their own training, and Amway is kind of like, you're going to take people away from our training and you're going to teach your own shit. Fine, you're a top producer or whatever. And then you have these third-party people, what you're talking about with this guy. Hey, look, I'm not a top leader in a company. I'm not the company owner, but I'm selling training to their associates. Companies don't like that at all, because now it takes them completely off track of the process they should be working already. So it's already a lose-lose-lose situation. So just like there's Brandon Fargo's part of our group as well too with Kat, and he's like, hey Kurt, I met a bunch of people down in Fiji. They're all part of Isogenics, and hey, they want me to hold a call. And I'm like, you can hold a call and talk about social media, but none of them can run paid traffic. That's just not the way the model works. So you're not going to get any clients. Like, I don't want to be a dream stealer. You can coach someone, but you're not getting an agency client that's a network marketer unless you're going to do what I say is you just take their money. Hey, look, I know your shit's not going to work, James. I know it's not going to work. But if you want me to, I'll run it for 2 months. It's cool, James. It's going to cost you $5,000. It's probably not going to work because that's why no one else does it. But sure, I'll take your money. That's what I mean by taking their money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his numbers don't make sense unless he's getting a bunch of crap leads. And last thing, what I hear you say is to go back to your original question, is what kind of content do you run? So I like running either like little case study videos, or did you even know this is possible for your business? Just remember that teachers don't get paid as much as rock stars. So I'm not saying you have to learn how to play an instrument, but if you teach people the exact buttons to hit, people are like, oh, well, that's really great. I don't really need him. I'm going to try this out on my own. But if you're like, hey, I just got off the phone with a small business owner who wanted to start Facebook ads and I turned him down, here's why. Because he doesn't have a proven product. Now, how do we know he doesn't have a proven product? Because he hasn't done any market research. So if you're looking to hire someone for Facebook ads, the first thing that person should be asking you, like these are videos that we create called the 10 by 10 by 4, right? They're 10 frequently asked questions, 10 questions you should be asking. So now I'm talking about a story. I tell lots of stories in third party. So when the video comes up and someone watches it, I don't have to worry about a hook. I already know I'm targeting the right small business owners, and they're like, oh yeah, I have a product that I've been running on Facebook, and oh yeah, my Facebook people didn't know what they were doing, and oh hey, this is really interesting. So I'm always looking for podcast interviews that I've done. I'll do small little case studies. I don't have to make a big presentation. I could just literally just jump on the line and tell a couple of stories.
Yeah.
Right. And the big thing is what you want to do is you want to qualify people. Right. So let's just say you tell a story about solar, right? And all about solar is all about mass quality or quantity versus quality. I'm just completely making this up. Right. And one of the things is with solar, as long as you make the install and you do a good, decent job and you make sure you service that in 10 years, you're pretty good to grow, or you're pretty good to go and you're pretty good to grow. So blah, 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 finish up your case study. And at the end, by the way, if this interests you at all, or if you learned something here, leave a comment down below. That's always great. Or if this resonates with you and you're looking for someone to help with your marketing, please just go ahead, send me a direct message the page, click on the link. Like a lot of this is a lot simpler than what we think, because you only require a couple of clients a month.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So literally recording a video a day, a video every 2 or 3 days, and running it for a couple of bucks to the same audience. Not one video that has the greatest hook, but like 10 videos that are each talking about different subject matter. Now, just like you and I are building a rapport, they feel like they're getting to know you. So whenever the right subject matter hits them, they fill out a form, they reach out to you because they've seen you over and over, but they're qualified because at the end of your videos, you're always talking about the entrepreneurs that I like to work with, or the business owners that I like to work with the most, are ones that have a proven product. They've done market research on their product. They've sold their product for at least over a year. And at this point, they may have tried a couple of other Facebook agencies that may or may not have worked out, but they know their numbers of their program. They know their numbers of the products and service. If you know your numbers, if you're an entrepreneur who likes to take action and watch their business grow, these are the people that I partner up with.
Yeah.
I'm always qualifying people, right? This probably isn't going to work for network marketers. It's probably not going to work for people who are just looking for an income opportunity. But if you have a proven product or service, I'm absolutely someone who can help. So when someone tells me that they're getting crap leads, I'm like, okay, tell me the process of how you're qualifying them. Because a lot of people are like, hey, I'm getting $5 lead cost. Well, I don't care about my $5 lead cost if you're then going to say that all the leads are shit. I'd rather get a $20 lead cost, and by the time they show up to the phone, they know they're talking with an agency owner. They know what we're going to be talking about, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, cool. What do you feel like is the main reason why people starting agencies?
Sorry, you hit it out of me again. Can you say it again?
What do you think the main reason why people starting agencies or running agencies fail?
Same thing that all businesses do, in my opinion. The shit caught in between their own ears.
Okay.
Right? Like that's my problem. That's the biggest problem with agency owners and clients. So it's like, I don't think I can, as an agency owner, I don't think I can grow, scale. How am I going to sell stuff? I can't sell anything without a testimonial. How's this going to happen? Right? That's all self-sabotage stuff. And then by the time that we end up talking to a client, this is why we don't do websites. Hey, client, you want a website? Yeah. You want blue, green, fuchsia? You want the one font inside the logo to be, okay, wait a minute. We have a whole website to design, not worried about the font and the logo. So depending on their mommy and daddy issues, is now you have agency owners with issues, you have clients with lots of issues, and there's lots of decisions that have to be made. It's not like, to go back to solar, like bread and butter. Here are the 5 things that you do. I mean, this is, hey, here's human psychology. We have to figure out how to get along with the client. We have to talk the client into working a process, kind of like a diet plan. Most agency owners don't have processes that they believe in. Most agency owners don't have the self-confidence. And most agency owners, they show up to a client's doorstep, in my opinion, and they're like, hey, Luke, what would you like to do? And I show up and I'm like, hey, Luke, what kind of business do you have? Here's exactly what you're going to do next, because people want to be led. But that's a whole different other personality. So a lot of it, we're talking about human psychology and lots of variables. Yeah. If they're not in the people business, this is a horrible business for them. But you got to be in the people business, you got to be creative, and you have to like numbers. So that's where I see the biggest failure points at. I mean, really, I just commented on Jason Hornig's post the other day. For me, it really comes down to a lot of human psychology. It really, really does. Talking clients off ledges. Yeah.
Interesting. What was Jason's post about?
He was just talking about like, what was it? Top client reason number 4. He does these every once in a while. This is great. He's like, client tells me that they have a proven product. Once we're through with the onboarding process, client says they don't have the staff to run the ads that they're selling. That's what my staff will do. And the product is called Undercover Advertiser. Basically what the guy he's like, basically what the client just said is, I don't have a business. I've never had a business. I don't know how to run a business, but you're going to create a webinar showing that I do have a business and you're going to fulfill for it. I'm like, it's kind of like the shit that clients say.
Oh, that is awful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, stuff like that happens.
Crazy.
Stuff like that happens.
Crazy. At what point do you normally recommend, would you normally recommend some agency getting on a salesperson?
I don't know. I mean, between Nick and I, we sell everything on our own. So it all kind of comes down to lead quality. So I'm really fortunate because, a lot of our stuff all comes in referral only. Now, Nick was just talking about a guy right before that you came on that tripped upon our website, heard about us, whatever. If they haven't been referred by someone directly that I personally know, then they talk to Nick, and Nick goes through the whole, question and answer session with them. And if they are mildly interesting, then he'll bring it over to me. The only time I can really see, in my opinion, is hiring a full-time salesperson. I was talking to Brandon Fargo about this the other day. Is if you have kind of like Kat's model, and it's like, hey, look, it just works for me. that I get in leads for about $100. That makes sense. Hey, look, I'm on the phone 3 or 4 hours a day. That makes sense because you have the leads that are coming on for someone to work, 3, 4 hours a day or more. Yeah, I mean, it completely makes sense. Now for us, kind of depends on how big you want to grow. It's what we've been talking about really, is like for us, really, if we get a new client in once every 6 weeks, if we lose 2 in a month, maybe we get 2 clients. If you really run the math, I don't really need that many. So I've never justified having a full-time person. Now, my brother's agency that we work with in Nebraska, they have 14 employees, and they do a shit ton of biz dev. So they're going to networking events and they're hosting, happy hours, whatever. That's something you got to have staff for.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So if you're bringing in enough leads that you're spending 3, 4 hours a day, cool. Like bring in a salesperson that's bread and butter, ask these amount of questions. The way that I've just personally looked at it, like you've heard me say, is I don't require 40 new clients a month. So if I only require 2 or 3 a month, I just backtrack the numbers. I mean, quite openly.
It's not that many calls.
Right. Quite openly it's kind of like, we're like, all right, do we just pump up some more phone calls and pre-qualify the person more? Like, let me give you a perfect example. If I'm getting $20 leads and most of my leads are shit, and my salesperson's like, most of my leads are shit, why would I even have a salesperson to get $20 leads? I'd rather get $100 leads that are completely qualified. They watched a bunch of videos of mine, and by the time they're ready to talk to Nick or I, they're like, oh my God, I feel like I know you so much. I've completely skipped the cost of a salesperson.
Yeah, that's smart.
Right? So if you talk about your last example, like with the last guy that you know, and you're like, hey, he's getting 60 calls a week. And you're like, wait a minute. How do you do that many calls and manage people, especially if you said that you put in $300 and you make $2,000? Like these numbers just aren't making sense. Because if that was true in my mind's eye, he'd close he would literally close 4 new deals like in a week, and he'd be done closing for the rest of the month. Because by the time that you onboard, I don't know about you, but by the time that we onboard somebody, get in their account, I kind of like learn how to like dig through their shit, kind of like a mechanic opens the hood of a car. I mean, I don't know about you, but that first week or 2 of onboarding with me, like I got to get to know the person, their links, what their stuff. There's a lot of work there.
Yeah.
I'm not onboarding more than 2 people a week ever. Hell, if I'm onboarding 2, 4, 6, 8 people in a month, oh my goodness, we are crushing it.
Yeah. So, I'd like to get to the point that, because I've recently put on a sales guy, and he hasn't closed a deal yet, so it's not going very well. But I'd like to get to a point where we're having 1 new client a week. But I've got him on board to be able to like manage the client as well. So it's kind of a little bit sales.
You're fading out on me again.
Oh, sorry. I've got him on board to be like a little bit sales, so like half sales, half client management. He does both. Like if he's looking after in total 15 clients, maybe 20, between management and sales. Like if they're all managed, he doesn't need to do the sales because he's probably spending his time organizing.
He just follows up with the clients that he sold with, and just to make sure their performance is there?
Yeah. And anything that needs organized, with like production or problems with leads or whatever's going on, like he does both.
So for us, it was 4 clients were efficient, 5 or 6 clients was max. We wouldn't give anybody over 7 clients, and that may be work different with solar. But anything, if we gave them, like if they had to have weekly calls and check up on stats and maintain quality assurance, like they were the account manager, we never went over 7. We found that number to be about 6. I don't know how that. Yeah. So what we used to do is we used to send the clients regular reports. We wouldn't have weekly meetings. We started losing a bunch of clients. So we basically transitioned it to, okay, look, we're going to do half an hour weekly meetings, and each person's only allowed to manage up to 6 top 7 accounts. Because what we ended up doing was one person would, or a couple of people would actually take care of copy, and a couple of people would take care of graphics, and then someone else was in charge of copy, pasting, uploading, and then analyzing numbers. so what happened is like there's only a couple of people that have the personality to manage the client, which is great. I don't know how much bread and butter your stuff is if like it's just a 15-minute call once a week and that's it. But I think weekly calls with clients are important. But then again, my brother has a bunch of $1,500 a month clients that they talk to him once a month because like the doctor just wants 3 appointments a week and that's all they get, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing that we're thinking about doing is being able to offer 3 services. Say, like, this is all just solar related, right? So offer 3 services. At the moment, I feel like we're losing a ton of the market because they're either not big enough or not ready for like, $2,000 to $3,000 managed account. So we're thinking about offering the full service. May sound like a prostitute. You can have the full service. You can have the partial service. The partial service we would sell them leads. So like say $70 a lead and pack to 50, so they can have over a month and run it on their Facebook page, but out of our business manager. So running a lead service, and then for like the one-man bands that can't do that, like they don't want to buy exclusive leads and they don't want to have a full managed service, running like a, selling them like a little, 8-hour little course on how to put up their own ad, and then maybe doing like a, weekly kind of call to look at their campaigns. Any pros and cons in doing with that, you think?
Yeah, ideally, it kind of depends on like ideally what you want to do.
Just be able to I feel like just at the end of the day, it's all about revenue. So I feel like in the solar market, we're losing a lot to other companies that we're not providing the service that a lot of companies want. There's a lot of companies that don't want full service. Either they're not big enough or they've just hired their own little social media managers and stuff.
You're fading out on me again. I don't know if you have a headset or if you move your head or something a little bit.
Yeah, I do move my head. Sorry.
You start talking a little bit and it goes away. That's fine. So, one of the things that I used to do is just an idea is I'd have a business. Well, first of all, to go back to your salesperson, like what my brother has in Nebraska is if your salesperson's local and they're going up to meetups and they're answering the phone and they're making the phone ring and they're building relationships and they're doing client service, I like that. If they're virtual and they're only humping the phone and only getting leads that you send them, it can be expensive. So the next thing is when we would go meet people in public, and you can do the same thing over the phone, but when we go meet people in public, we'd have a card that our card's black box social media. And my elevator pitch was always the same. It sounds much sexier than what it actually is, but you can figure this out for your own elevator pitch or whatever, right? Hey, Kurt, what do you do? Oh, our elevator speech is we work with celebrities, reality TV stars, professional sports teams, and whatnot. We help people market on Facebook. How about you? Oh, I own a mechanic shop. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, I probably can't afford you. And then I'd flip over the card. Well, no, that's not necessarily true, because what we do is if you want to learn how to do it on your own, we have a program called Social Media Ad Genius. We literally show you the exact same buttons that we would be touching for one of our other higher end clients. So either we'll show you how to do it, or we'll train your staff how to do it, or we'll do it for you. It just depends. I mean, the more that I do for you, the more that it costs, but we can figure that out. And then we would jump on the call for a half an hour, and that's what it would turn into, which it would be at the end of the half an hour call. And this is what we still do today. Well, I mean, it's a little bit different, but at the end of the half an hour call, it's basically like, hey, Luke, it was really great to catch up with you. Here's the deal. I won't run your ads right now because you don't have enough business experience in solar. You haven't been in business long enough. I can't honestly run your ads because I'd feel like I'm just taking your money. Now, I can either train your internal staff. I do have some one-on-one consulting, or one of the things that Nick and I have always loved to do is group coaching. Every 6 weeks have another 6-week class, or every 8 weeks have another 6-week class that teaches them how to do, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6. Over the 6 weeks, I'm going to show you how to do this on your own. I mean, heck, if you sell that, it's like, I like to make this speech. This is my speech. You can use your own numbers, right? Hey, client, this is what I say now. Hey, look, if you want us to run your ads, totally cool. it's a $10,000 swing. I want you to keep that number in mind. Okay. So it's $10,000 to us. It's $5,000 to us. And it's $5,000 in testing over 3 to 4 weeks to make sure that your boat floats. So $10,000 to see if your boat floats. And sometimes people are like, "Ooh, that's a little rich for my blood." Not a problem. The other thing, if you want to consider it, is you can come down to Austin. We do this just a couple of times a year, but you'll be with about 30 other people. And over the course of 3 days, we're going to do a deep dive, and I'm going to give you workbooks, step-by-step how-to. I'm going to give you all of it. You can set up your own plans for the next 6 months. We'll even actually help you design your exact plans, your content, the buttons to hit for the next 6 months when you come down to Austin. So that's basically what we do, is instead of us hitting the buttons, we're going to train you how to hit the buttons over a 3-day period of time. We're going to take you through the regular onboarding, and we'll even kick up a couple of campaigns for you, right, to get you started for some baseline. That's 10 grand as well. So it's either 10 grand for the boat floats, right? This could be, you could say, hey, look, it's either, 3 grand to get us started, or it's 3 grand and every 6 weeks, we have a live event. I don't know if you want to do a live event, or you can do an online one where, hey, I have a new class starting July 5th, right? For the next 6 weeks, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do A, B, C, D, and E, A, B, C, D, E, F. And then basically at the end, we're done, and you'll know how to do it on your own. I like doing the 6-week online classes because once you sell it, like, you start building for the event, right? Like, you literally start selling tickets now for the event that kicks off in 30 days. And now in 30 days, you've sold 3 tickets, let's just say. Not a whole lot of money, but now you're forced to do the PowerPoint presentation to figure out what you're going to train for the first week. Now you're going to have training by the time you're done with your 6 weeks. So for us, I'd say 10 grand if you want us to run it, but remember, that's 10 grand in 30 days, or 10 grand in 3 days, and we're going to give you 90 days of follow-up in exactly this format that you're experiencing right now. Or if you prefer, it's 10 grand and I'll teach your team personally one-on-one over the next 4 months.
Yeah.
So you can change those numbers and say, hey, look, we'll do everything for you, right? It's either we do it for you, it's done with you, or you can learn how to do it on your own.
That is cool.
Do it yourself, done for you, and done with you. Your 3 different options.
Yeah. There's a whole pile of guys. There's a couple guys in the States that are doing teaching the solar stuff. And they're charging like $5 grand for their course.
Yep.
And doing like 100K a month.
Yeah.
Well, they say on
yes. In Facebook. See, at the end of the day, if you give away, to go back to the person you were giving an example for, if you go back to giving away a bunch of free stuff for network marketers come in at $37.97. At the end of the day, you just have to do a lot of volume. It's the only way that works. But if you're selling a $5,000 course because you're teaching people solar, they have to sell 20 a month if they're doing 100 grand a month.
Yeah.
Different perspective. Right?
Yeah. It's not a lot. Not a lot. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Always love these calls.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it. Yep. I mentioned there's a bar or a pub right above me. My girlfriend bought groceries today to make tacos. So we're going to go upstairs and enjoy a drink and some tacos. And it's amazing. I'm pretty excited.
Nice. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, enjoy your night. And thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have a great night. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.